Let me show you how to make a fluttering butterfly from an old comic book paper. Hi, my name's Becky from Retro from Scratch, and I take old books and recycle them and turn them into something new. Now, this week to make the butterfly, we are going to need a pair of scissors, a glue stick. The most important thing is a peg. And I nearly forgot, you're going to also need some sellotape or washi tape, but basically just a little bit of tape to attach the wings to the body. And you're also going to need some paper. Now, I have included a butterfly template that you can download. Now, you can either open this up on your screen, the link is in the description, or you can print off a copy like this. Or you can just go freestyle and draw your own butterfly. I'm going to show you all the different options, so either of these will work. Okay, so if you decide to print off your template, great. Now you can either colour this in or leave it as it is and cut this out, and that's it, you're done. Or alternatively, you can trace this template on your screen if you're going to be using white paper. So I've opened it up on my computer here, and down the bottom right here I can actually change the size. We don't want it too small, we don't want it too big, so we can get a kind of feel for what we would like. We're going to take a piece of paper, and I'm actually going to fold this in half, so we only need to draw one side, and I've actually put a dashed line here to show you the half. This is just going to make it more symmetrical when it comes to drawing, cutting and making it easy for yourself. So just take the piece of paper with the folded edge up against the fold line, and then you should be able to see that. This is just a scrap sheet that I've printed on previously, and I can still see through it. And so then I can roughly draw. This is made a little harder because I have a camera phone in my face, but we can roughly draw the butterfly outline, and then we can just cut that out. And what you're doing is you're cutting out both sides. If, of course, this you feel is too big, then you can just reduce it. And then we can just open that up, and there we have our butterfly. Now, with this template, we can transfer this to coloured paper or book paper. This is a really good technique if you haven't got a printer to trace through the computer screen, but you will need to use a white paper that is quite thin so that it's see-through. Now, if you have a coloured paper that you would like to use, as I say, I recycle old books, and I've got a bit of comic paper here that I would like to turn into a butterfly. So what I'm going to do is actually fold this piece of paper in half. I'm going to go down the middle here, down the line, and I'm going to trace this cutout, but you don't need to trace it. You could, if you have got a printer and you want to print it off, you can cut this one out and use that as a template to draw around. So there's lots of different possibilities that you can do. So I'm going to go like this. So I've got the folded edge here, I've got my folded part here, and I'm just going to draw around. I'm hoping I'm going to get lots of colour. I want to get as much colour on these wings as I possibly can. So I'm just going to draw around this template. Now you can take your time with this a little bit. It hasn't got to be perfect though. Because it will just look like a butterfly shape. And then if you can see the pencils lines there, if you haven't got a pencil, you can use a biro. It might be easier to use a Sharpie. And we are cutting through both layers And by cutting them together, we are going to make them perfectly symmetrical. Just cutting within there because I didn't want this border showing through. It is more fiddly, this bit. So just take your time. Oop. Just finish off the bottom. Fantastic. And of course, you can check which side you like the most. I think I actually prefer the other side, so that's great. I love the colours of this butterfly. Right, now we're going to need a peg. And what we're going to do is actually attach the butterfly to the peg. Now, this is important. I always think of a peg this way up, but this is going to be our handle. So we need to be able to hold this piece. And so our butterfly is going to go on here like so, up at this end. Before I glue anything down, I'm just going to lay the peg on the centre there and draw a couple of lines around the peg. And we're just going to fold these lines. So if you can see, there's one of the lines. I'm just going to fold those lines back. So this is the underneath of the butterfly. It doesn't matter which side you do it. If you've done it on the wrong side, you change your mind, just fold them back the other way. So there is the body, and this is the part that we are going to stick to our peg. But it is very important so that we've got the wings together there. So now I'm going to apply the glue. So glue at the what I call the bottom end. I want to make sure that I've got enough on there, but if you put too much glue on, it's just going to take longer to dry. So you want a happy balance between just the right amount of glue, not too much, not too little. And then we're going to make sure that this butterfly part sticks so the fold lines up with the edge of the peg each side, and then we're just going to press that down. And leave that to dry. Now, whilst that is drying, we are going to need a strip of paper. And this is going to go underneath the butterfly and is the mechanism that helps make the wings flap up and down. So all we need is a strip of paper, and I can use this piece here, actually, part of the edge, about 1 centimetre wide. And I'm just going to cut a nice length for the moment. Like so. So let's measure that. I've done it by eye, but that's 11 centimetres by just 1.5 centimetres. It does all depend on the size of your butterfly, of course. My butterfly wings, the widest part is 16 centimetres. But you can print them off and make your butterflies at any size you like. If you didn't want to use my template, then you can just draw your own butterfly shape. And all I would suggest is take a piece of paper, any colour you like, fold it in half, and then from the folded edge, you can draw your butterfly shape. Okay, I'm not sure about that shape. I think you can do better than that. Okay, so this is hopefully drying nicely. Now what we're going to do is we're going to fold this up, and on the back half of our peg we are going to apply some glue, and then we are going to fold this around and attach these bits to our butterfly. So first of all, we'll apply some glue to the back of the peg, like this. And then around halfway, we're going to attach this. Now, You could glue it down, but I'm going to suggest that we use some sellotape just so that it holds on a bit stronger, because you're going to be pulling the wings apart using the peg, and that could, if the peg has got a strong spring on it, it could make the paper pop off. So I'm going to use some little bits of sellotape. I think they'll just be a little bit stronger. So I'm going to go here and tape that down, and then I'm just going to do the same on the other side. And here we have our butterfly. And now when I open and close the peg, it flutters. And there we have our fluttering butterfly. Now I've actually attached some sellotape to this part here just to really hold that on. I was a little impatient for it to dry with the glue, but the tape means that the wings flutter much better and it's much more effective, I think. This has been a lot of fun to make, and I'm really pleased with how effective it looks using the book paper. But like I say, you can use any paper that you have. You could use old magazines, any bits of scrap paper, old wrapping paper that you've got left lying around at home, and an old peg. It's really as simple as that. If you would like to follow more of my craft tutorials, then do take a look at the next video, and I hope to see you again here this time next week for some more retro recycling crafts.